Back to the Knicks' performance last night. The Knicks didn't know if they were going to have Jalen Brunson, certainly second half. He came out for right after halftime, and all of a sudden the crowd, so the building is half empty because everybody's out in the concourse probably talking about, we're going to lose this game. We're down by double digits. Brunson got hurt second quarter, and all of a sudden people started to realize that Jalen Brunson had come out to warm up for the second half. Now, this on the anniversary of Willis Reed coming out for Game 7 against the Lakers. Not the same. That was Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 1970, but Willis hobbling out to start that game against Wilt Chamberlain and the Lakers, hit a couple of buckets, and that was it from Willis. This was a whole lot different. Here's Jalen Brunson talking about the fans' reaction.
This place has been nothing but special for me, so I appreciate everything they do. It was really cool to hear, but I just knew I had to get my mind in the right place to figure out how I was going to attack the second half.
And I'm not sure how he hurt his foot. I don't know if he knows how he hurt his foot, but you could tell that there was some discomfort there and that he needed to come out of the game. Also, OG, I don't know if he's going to play in Game 3, hamstring injury. He was playing wonderful. But this is almost a game of attrition for the Knicks, that Tom Thibodeau, you got to be tough to play for him. You got to want to play defense, and you got to want to play a lot of minutes. You're going to play hurt, and the Knicks are paying the price for this. Josh Hart plays every minute. He plays every second. They have about 6 players that they play, that they can count on. And how long can you continue to do this? So OG, his hamstring, I don't know, we don't know the severity of that, but it looked bad. Then you got Brunson with his foot injury, and you're asking these guys to play every minute of every game. And now the series shifting back to Indianapolis. Now, you can win this series against Indiana, but this style of play, playing this many minutes against a Boston Celtic team in the next round, it just won't work. But they're kind of rolling the dice, and Tibbs is saying, let's play as hard as we can, as long as we can. But they are paying the price. Here is Rick Carlisle, not pleased with how the officiating went last night, and they've already submitted some video clips from last night's game and Game 1 to the league office.
After Game 1, we always go through the film, and games where it felt like the whistles weren't balanced. And we pull the clips, and there's a way you can submit them to the MDA office. There were 29 plays in Game 1 that we thought were clearly called the wrong way. I decided not to submit them because I just felt like we'd get a more balanced whistle tonight. It didn't feel that way. I can promise you that we're going to submit these tonight. New York can get ready; they'll see them too. I'm always talking to our guys about not making it about the officials, but we deserve a fair shot.
Okay, now they didn't shoot at least 60% from the line. I think they shot 57 or 58%. That would have helped your cause here. You blew a halftime lead again, and that came back to haunt you as well. Halliburton played really well. Didn't play well in Game 1, played well in Game 2. But the Knicks, the Pacers, how about some defense here? You gave up 130 points. That's the most points the Knicks have scored in a playoff game since 1990. So there's also mitigating circumstances as to why you're down 0-2. Are there calls that went against you that were bad calls? Yes. And I said, the NBA loves to tell you, hey, we're going to look at the last 2 minutes, and we're going to give you full transparency. And then you realize the number of calls. So according to Brian Windhorst this morning, the Pacers singled out, I believe, 49 plays last night. 29 in Game 1. So we're talking almost 80 plays in 2 games that the Pacers have a problem with. Let's say, benefit of the doubt, half of those calls are bad calls. So that's 40 calls. You want to give me full transparency? Give me full transparency. Oh, I know you got to go back. And we had Steve Javie, the former referee, on yesterday. Well, you got to go back and, every single play. Well, that's what Indiana's doing. They're going back and saying, that's a bad call, that's a bad call, or that's a questionable call. There was a play last night. Josh Hart pushes Tyrese Halliburton in the back. Blatant. And, of course, Halliburton has been bothered by back spasms. No call. There was also a double dribble call on Isaiah Hartenstein. And this is what Rick Carlisle had to say about that.
One guy just said he didn't double dribble. But it looked to me like, Tibbs went out there and argued it, and they changed it. That's what it looked like, So I can only go by what I see, what I saw, and that's small beans compared to everything else. Small market teams deserve an equal shot. They deserve a fair shot, no matter where they're playing.
Okay, he wasn't going to be fined until the last 7 seconds of what he just said. And that is, I'm going to feed into the narrative of the small market team. That's where he's going to get fined. Because it's us against the world. If I'm Commissioner Silver, I would say to Rick Carlisle, hey, Rick, tell me when the big market teams have benefited, let's say the last 7 years. None of them have won the lottery. Who's winning championships? And your big market team won a title in the bubble in Orlando with the Lakers. Like, look around. Lakers aren't there. Clippers aren't there. Philadelphia's not there. Chicago had a team meeting after game 1 this regular season. They're not there. They haven't been good since Jordan left. When you say small market, boy, that's when the commissioner is probably going to come down pretty hard on Rick. Even though there are some objectionable calls there or non-calls there. But when you do the small market, now the Knicks haven't done anything in decades. Now is when you're going to say, hey, let's help them out. Now, the Knicks are a rootable team. You can root for the Knicks, the way they play, the style they play, and also the novelty. It's been so long. But I don't think that the officials are going, golly, man, we're in the Garden and the Knicks are playing well. Let's give them some calls here. I don't think that that's happening. And to say that this is a small market team versus a big market team, yes, Indianapolis versus New York City. But tell me the other big name markets, big city, towns that are benefiting here in the NBA. If anything, the NBA needs to accommodate the bigger markets. That would make more sense business-wise, but that's not happening. These teams are winning titles. Toronto won a title. Minnesota may win a title this year. Oklahoma City may win a title this year. These are smaller market teams. So that's a dangerous one to go down. Now, once again, I said this yesterday. If David Stern was still the commissioner, Jamal Murray would have been kicked out of at least one game here. Commissioner Silver is a more player-friendly commissioner. But if David Stern was the commissioner, Rick Carlisle might already be fined for saying the small market, because that drove Commissioner Stern crazy. He goes, we're not placating somebody. The best teams, wherever they are. This isn't the 80s with, Magic and Larry, and it's Boston and L.A. The NBA, they pretty much it balances it itself. The big market teams haven't been good, consistently good. And I don't think Indiana and Rick Carlisle can say, hey, it's us against the rest of the NBA. I don't think that's the case. But I do think that's going to cost him some money. Yeah, Paulie.
I think you're right. I think it's fair to say that we don't know if the league has ever initiated the refs to go for a big market team. But Rick Carlisle is playing to the rest of the country. 26, 27 teams and their fan bases who think that the league is favoring the Lakers or the Knicks.
Yeah, but how does that help this situation? It doesn't matter what we feel.
I know, but I think Rick Carlisle is looking towards games 3, 4, and 5, the old Phil Jackson move.
But if you want to get the attention of the officials, I don't think you say, hey, you're leaning towards the Knicks because they're a big market team. If I'm the official, I'd be like, am I going to all of a sudden go, well, I'm going to show you, Rick, we're going to give you some calls in Indianapolis. Indiana will benefit with the series being back in Indiana. Guaranteed. They will. They'll be a different team. Guaranteed. Happens all the time. Where you'll watch a game and you go, oh my God, they got no chance. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, they're going to win this series. And Indiana can still win this series. I think that's why Rick Carlisle did what he did. If he felt like he couldn't win this series, then I don't know if he'd go through this whole process here. I think he still feels like, hey, we're going to come back and we're going to take these next 2 games. He also knows that Brunson got banged up a little bit and OG might not be able to play. Now they don't have depth. We have it. We'll have momentum. We can still win this series. Now, you want to bring up the smaller market? I don't think an official is going to go, or the officiating crew is going to all of a sudden get together and go, hey, are we doing a disservice to Indiana? Yes, Eaton.
I do get the idea. Well, coaches have been playing that game in the media forever to try and get better calls in future games, right? That's nothing new. But I do get if you're a team like Indiana and the whole storyline about this series is the magic of Madison Square Garden is back. The Garden is rocking because the Knicks are back and we finally got a good Knicks team. And then you go in there and you're like, man, they blew like 30 calls tonight and another 50 the night before or whatever. You're like, you know what? I think we're getting screwed, and I think that the refs maybe are buying a little too much into the magic of the Garden being back. I get somebody feeling that way.
But what happens if Indiana gets all these calls when it goes back to Indiana?
Then things would be the home team usually gets the calls. That's probably not anything new either, right?
No, this happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I've only been covering the NBA up close, or at least on the periphery, for over 40 years. You see this. Phil Jackson was in Chicago and L.A., big markets. He complained all the time about the officiating. And it wasn't hey, what about the small market team? It wasn't. The coaches are going to complain. Now, Rick Carlisle can single out all these plays. How many plays could the Knicks single out as well? And was there a double dribble called and then it shouldn't have been called? Yes. I think it was the right call to not call it a double dribble. And then Rick Carlisle got tossed soon after that when he realized they weren't going to win. And maybe that's one of those, hey, I'm going to fight for us until we get back home. Take matters into your own hands. You had a chance. Brunson was banged up. OG didn't play, left after, in the third quarter. Win. You had a chance to win the game. Make your free throws. Yes, sometimes the officials feel like they're calling everything for the opposition. I get it. This is a Knicks team that doesn't have any depth. They don't have Mitchell Robinson in there. Julius Randle's not in there. Which leads me to, when we talk about MVPs, as we look at what happened during the regular season and in the postseason, and you're not supposed to factor in MVP of what you do in the postseason with the end results of the regular season as Joker wins his 3rd in 4 years. Jalen Brunson is as valuable, if not more so, to his team than anybody else in the league. Plain and simple. Bottom line. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win a title. But if you take him away from that team, what do you have? Shai Gilgeous, wonderful player. Luka, wonderful player. I mean, Ant-Man, great players. Is there anybody more valuable than Jalen Brunson? And I'm going to say no.